I think it's fair to say the start of year number 4 did not go to plan for Virginia Tech, but we're looking to bounce back today. Traveling to Memphis, facing off against Arion Igwebuike, the projected top quarterback in this year's draft, leading the Memphis Tigers, followed by our first ACC game of the year against a team we've never faced off against in this series, being Boston College. So right now, the Hokies are ranked 15th with a record of 1-1. Our first game was the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic against South Florida, and it did not go well. The score does not do it justice. We played worse than this 30-point deficit suggests. We were down by as many as 34-0. Our defense got picked apart, and our offense did not score for 2.5 quarters. Cam Kingsbury was horrible in this game. The receivers couldn't get open. The offensive line couldn't block. The defense could not make plays. They couldn't cover. They couldn't get after the quarterback. They couldn't stop the run. Luckily, we rebounded against East Carolina. Slow start for the defense, but they pitched a shutout in the second half. The offense was nearly unstoppable the first 20 minutes as Ace Morgan, the former Hokie quarterback, was outplayed by his longtime teammate Cam Kingsbury, who looked a lot better here in this game than he did in week 1. But I'm still not convinced because ECU is obviously not the strongest opponent. They're very respectable, but they're not as good as South Florida. I'm really curious to see how we match up with a team like Memphis because they're better than East Carolina, but I don't quite think they're on the level of South Florida. I think it's an interesting happy medium, and I think it'll be fascinating to see how we ultimately perform, especially with our first true road game against a team like the Tigers, who are 2-0 so far this year. Granted, they haven't really played anyone. I mean, I guess beating Baylor by 28 is kind of nice, but Baylor's not some great program or anything. This is their first challenging game of the year, and it might be their only one. I mean, Army's going to be tough, Tulane's going to be tough, but Memphis could very realistically run the table in the American Athletic Conference. They don't have to play against South Florida. There's a really good chance those two teams meet in the conference championship, and I would think the winner will be the Group of 5 representative to make the playoff. So obviously, when we looked at this Memphis team, everything starts and ends with the quarterback, Arion Igwebuike, who's been the talk of the town in draft circles for years. He could have declared last year and been a first-round pick. He could have declared 2 years ago and been a first-round pick. But not only did he decide to stay at school, but he did not enter the transfer portal, where every single school in America would have offered him. But instead, he stays at Memphis, where he's turned into a campus legend, now looking to lead the team to the playoffs. He's gotten better and better each year. He's got good accuracy. He's got a lively arm. He's a dynamic runner. He's a guy who can win in the pocket like an old-school quarterback, but he's also an improviser and can make plays scrambling around. Emmanuel Stiparm leads college football in rushing touchdowns through 2 weeks with 7, although Iggy's receiving core is not the best. None of these guys, other than maybe Stiparm, have a chance of playing in the NFL. There are a handful of good players on the defense, but outside of Igwebuike, this is a roster that certainly lacks, even compared to a team like South Florida. But what Memphis is going to have over everyone they play against this year is the quarterback, because Arion Igwebuike might be the best quarterback in America. Maybe his numbers in terms of his yardage don't pop like the others, but in terms of efficiency, in terms of production, it's hard to match up any quarterback in the country with Iggy. So the Hokies are going to start with it. Cam Kingsbury was dreadful in week 1, and he was fantastic in week 2. What version of him will we get today on the road here in the M? Keelan Ringo up the middle with a good start. We've got to run the ball better. I don't think we've gotten enough from our run game through the first couple of weeks, although we have gotten flashes from our new transfer, Dontel Jett from NC State, who's in the backfield. Play action. Kingsbury on second down, looking deep, and it's caught! Skylar Matlock inside the 5. Matlock's hands feel like they've got glue on them, which is crazy because last year his drop rate was in the gutter. Now he has stickum. He doesn't drop anything. Ringo breaks away into the end zone for a touchdown. A good start for the Hokie offense as Keelan Ringo puts us on the board first at 7-0. Really nice opening drive. Obviously, the big play by Matlock really leading the way, finished off by the score by this senior running back. So Memphis gets it for the first time. We played against these guys 2 years ago in the Fenway Bowl, where Arion Igwebuike was largely unimpressive, and their first drive doesn't really go anywhere. R.J. Jordan with the tackle. That'll lead to an early punt for the Tigers as Virginia Tech gets it back. On second down, play action. Kingsbury with a strike, and it's picked off! He wanted to go deep for Brady Vogel, but it's picked off by the safety, Marcus Kimball, and Memphis gets it back. Kingsbury wanted to be aggressive there. It looked like Vogel had a step on the cornerback, but the problem is Kingsbury threw the ball a second or two too late. Had he gotten it out earlier, I think Vogel's the only guy who would have had a chance at it. But he didn't necessarily throw it before the receiver was open. He waited for him to be open, and by that point, it's too late. Wide open on second down is the tight end, Garrison Fitch. Past the 20 with a gain of about 44. Why was Niles Coldclaw the edge rusher covering him? We've got to have somebody else guarding him. And the Tigers ultimately finish the drive with a touchdown. It's Emmanuel Stibarm, who has lived in the end zone so far this year. That's his 8th rushing touchdown. He had 5 in the first game of the year, and he added 2 more last week in the win in Waco. So we're knotted up at 7 now. The turnover directly leads to a touchdown, firmly putting Memphis back in the game. On second down, it's a screen for Ringo. Follows his blocks. He's got a hole, and there he goes! 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, touchdown! Keelan Ringo untouched into the end zone from 74 yards out, and the Hokies are right back ahead, ripping the Memphis touchdown off the board. That was quick. Memphis gets it back now with a third down. Igwebuike looks to throw it. Under pressure, he's got his man for the first down. Good throw into the hands of Jarek Bourne, but this one might be coming back. A holding call on the offense, and Memphis's first down will be taken off the board. It's Steven Selvey, the offensive tackle, called for the penalty. Third down and long now for Memphis. Igwebuike looks to throw it. Looking down the field, and it's caught! High pointing the football is the tight end, Garrison Fitch. And the holding call proves to not really be a big deal. Memphis is able to keep the drive going anyway. Fitch and friends in motion. Play action. Igwebuike. He gets his man. It's Valdez. Past the 40, Emmanuel Valdez, the sophomore with a gain of 28. And these guys are cruising down the field. Arion Igwebuike looks awfully good, doesn't he? There's a reason why scouts have him penciled in right now as the number 1 pick in the draft. 6'2", 205. He can make every play on the field, and he's done that in this game. Short throw. Valdez goes the wrong way. Samarian Joseph, the transfer from Akron, who had an interception off of Ace Morgan a week ago, is there with the TFL. Third down and pretty long here for Memphis. Under 30 seconds in the quarter. That one is caught, but not enough for the first down. Into the hands of the backup tight end, Paul Cheeks. So that'll bring out the field goal unit for Memphis. Prince Ikuban on to kick it from around 50. And we will have to wait until the start of the second quarter. 14-7. I think the good news is the Hokie offense looks pretty impressive. We have kind of relied on big plays, and I don't know if that's sustainable. The 40-plus yard reception by Matt Locke, and obviously the long touchdown on the screen by Ringo. But at least we're getting those splash plays in there. Memphis, meanwhile, very methodically moving down the field, but Igwebuike has been really efficient. 50-yarder is good for the Tigers, and the lead is within 4 as Ikuban splits it through. So it's now 14-10. Virginia Tech gets it back, coming off a pretty good opening quarter offensively. Kingsbury on third down looks to throw it. Down the field, misfires for his tight end, Cesar Lorello, and that will lead to a punt. Memphis gets it back. They've got it at about the 40-yard line. Igwebuike looks to throw it on first down. It's caught by Valdez. Our coverage feels like it's been really soft. We're trying to experiment with man and zone, but right now nothing is working. Open again, up the field, another first down. It's Fitch, the tight end, who's bordering on 100 yards already. There's still 8 minutes left in the first half. Play action, Igwebuike is sacked. KJ Story, untouched on the blitz, brings him down for a big loss. We need more from the pass rush, and that's why I'm trying out some blitzes. The one problem is it takes guys out of coverage, and with someone like Igwebuike who can dissect the defense and goes through his progressions, goes through multiple reads, there's a trade-off. He misfires, though, on third down, looking for Fitch, and Memphis is going to have to settle for another field goal. This one is from around 45 yards now out for Ikuban from the right hash to make it a 1-point game. It is up, and it's good. It was nearly blocked by George Ikuban. No relation between the two. as it's 14-13. We've had the splash plays, but we haven't moved the ball super consistently. Cam Kingsbury's been inconsistent with the accuracy as we try to run the ball because of that, and we don't get the conversion on third down. Dontel Jett gets maybe a yard. Memphis gets it back, third and medium. Igwebuike up the middle. It's caught, but not for a first down. Valdez is wrapped up by Arion Joseph, and it looks like the offense is going to stay on the field here on fourth down. Memphis has it not even at the 50-yard line yet. This is bold. 4th and 1 at their own 45. Stiff arm will not get the first down. While the Hokies get the stop, it's Garrett Berrettini, amongst others, bringing him down. A heck of a job with the tackle there. We needed 3 or 4 guys to finish off the job, but we do. And we'll get it back on offense. Play action. Kingsbury goes short. Dontel Jett, look out. Tries to spin away from the defender. He cannot. Normally a weapon in space. Still is able to get a nice gain of about 14. As it's now 2nd down and 7. Ringo's got it up the middle. He scored both of our touchdowns today, and he's not done. Inside the 15 with a nice run. Find a way to get Keelan Ringo the ball and move out the way. That should be the game plan right now for the Hokies. 3rd down and inches. 2.5 to play in the second. Kingsbury, Ringo again. Touchdown! That's a hat trick. 3 scores in the first half for Keelan Ringo. And Virginia Tech adds to the lead. What a game for our senior running back. He's got about 130 yards from scrimmage. He scored all 3 of our touchdowns. I anticipated our backfield would be a 1A and 1B, and Dontel Jett would be the 1A. But right now, Keelan Ringo looks like clearly the best back on the team. Iguabik keeps it on the option, and look out! He's got plenty of room past the 50. Tracked down at about the 40 by Colby Cook, but not before gaining 40. Now on 3rd and 5, stiff arm, lowers the shoulder. He doesn't get the first down. Another tackle by Colby Cook, who's flying around the field. So we're going to call the timeout, seeing that Memphis wants to kick the field goal. But after doing so, Memphis is going to change their mind. They're going to go for it on 4th down and 1. Put it this way, I would have preferred them to kick the field goal. As Santiago Jose, the freshman, gets the first down. Even if Memphis still only gets a field goal on this drive, by getting the first down, it allows them to burn some clock as well, prevent us from trying to score. As that one is caught by Bourne, walks the red carpet into the end zone for a touchdown. And Memphis brings it within 1. Really good decision there by Igwebuike. He was under a lot of pressure with Ian Cloud coming in on the blitz. But he's able to find Bourne, who breaks the tackle from George Ikuban. And that'll make it 21-20. At the very least, we've got 40 seconds to try to score. Kingsbury picked off! Alex Kaiser's got it for Memphis. The 2nd interception thrown this afternoon in the first half by Cam Kingsbury as his inconsistencies continue. I wanted to see him play well today, and so far he really hasn't. Memphis now with a chance for the lead. Stiff arm, breaks the tackle, but goes the wrong way. Arion Joseph, number 26, continues to fly around the field in the backfield. I'm impressed with his ability as a run defender. 2nd and long, Igwebuike, he's got his man. It's Bourne who had the touchdown earlier, and they've got to burn all these timeouts. Since they've already used 2, they're going to go no huddle and not use their final. So this clock is live. It's moving. 15 seconds on 3rd down. Up the seam, incomplete with a big hit by Joseph. And that'll wrap up the first half. I mean, at least we're winning. I can't say I'm very impressed. Cam Kingsbury has not looked all that good. He was picked off twice and really hasn't been very accurate up to this point. Right now, he's 8 for 14, 154 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. But that touchdown was a 74-yard screen, so it's hard to really give him credit. Keelan Ringo's been the engine of the offense. 7 carries, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 83 yards, and another score. For Memphis, Arion Igwebuike looks like the real deal. 16 of 23, 207 yards, and a passing touchdown, along with 5 carries for 50 yards. I think our defense has fared reasonably well. I wouldn't say they've been particularly good, but I don't think they've been horrible either. Stiff arm up the middle with a nice run. It goes for the first down. Memphis starting with it here in the second half, looking to take what would be their first lead of the entire game. On 3rd down, Iggy looks to throw it under not much pressure. Wide open down the field. It's caught. Out of bounds for a big first down. It's the backup tight end, Paul Cheeks. 2nd down and 8 now for Memphis. They're in field goal range, but they're looking for more. Step arm breaks away inside the 15, past the 10, where he's eventually wrapped up by Ian Cloud, breaking a bunch of tackles there, putting Memphis in position to take the lead. Quincy Ringo in for the score. No relations to Keelan, but today has been a story of Ringo in the end zone, as Memphis's Ringo gets a score of his own, and the Tigers will look to go for 2, try to make it a clean 7-point lead. Iggy is sandwiched in between the 2 running backs as he will look to throw it. Igwebuike scrambles, got room, and he's in! Arion Igwebuike on the QB keeper. 28-21, Memphis with the lead. Virginia Tech's got it back, trailing by a touchdown. We've got to get better play out of Cam Kingsbury, and Dontel Jett's going to have to give us more as well, and that's not a good start. He loses about 4. We've had to really rely on Keelan Ringo, and as good as he's been, he can't shoulder the load himself. Kingsbury scrambles around, hit as he throws incomplete. I think another thing is that these receivers just have not shown the ability to get open. I mean, man, do we miss Nazir Ishmael. 3rd and 10, look at all this time. Iggy goes short, it's caught. Jose gets the first. We've got to get someone sending pressure in the backfield. Our defensive line has given us nothing in this game. We've really struggled to generate consistent pressure after the quarterback this year. 3rd down, short throw. Garrison Fitch does not get the first down. It was a very busy first half for Fitch as they're going to go for it. He had 8 catches for 125 yards prior to the break. He's on 4th down and 1. Handoff, stiff arm, does not get it again! The 2nd time on 4th and short, he's been brought down shy of the mark to gain. It's R.J. Jordan with the TFL. Big stop by the defense. 3rd and 3. Jett does not get it. Since we can't really throw the ball consistently, we're being forced to run it in these short yardage spots, and it's not working. I decided to punt it. Memphis has it back. That one is caught. It's Valdez past the 40 for the first down. Right now, Memphis has got all the momentum. I mean, their defense is cruising. Iguabik is playing really well. He gets it near the 40. A lot better than he played in the bowl game 2 years ago against us. He really wasn't that good, but today he looks like the #1 pick. Jose's going the wrong way, though. No way, Jose! It's Jalen Hunter who brings him down. And now that'll make it a 3rd down and 9 for Memphis as Igwebuike goes short on the RPO. It's incomplete. He has missed his fair share of throws today. That's kind of the one blemish with Igwebuike. He's played an A- game. He's been really good, but he's had some 3rd down misses. Memphis, though, has the Hokies on upset alert, if you can even really call it an upset with the way we've looked this year. 28-21 going into the 4th. Our offense has hit a dry spell. We've only scored 7 points since the start of the 2nd quarter. It feels like when our offense is cold, there's nothing we can get going. As on 2nd down, it's Keelan Ringo. Bounces off a blocker, gets the first. We've got to find ways to get him the ball in the 4th quarter. We didn't really do a good job of doing so in the 3rd, and he's the one guy on this side of the ball who's really shown up. Here's Kingsbury. That one is dropped. I mean, as much as Cam Kingsbury hasn't been good, as you can see, these receivers are doing him no favors. 3rd down. Kingsbury scrambles. He's got Matlock with nobody in front of him. There's the big play the Hokies need. Touchdown, Virginia Tech. Skylar Matlock from 63. And we're knotted up again now at 28. I get our offense really hasn't had many consistent drives. We've relied on the splashy home run plays, but we'll take them if we can get them. Our 2nd 50-plus yard passing touchdown of the game. And sure, Cam Kingsbury is relying on these guys to make plays after the catch. But give us credit, we are. It's just a matter of actually getting open and making the catch. So Memphis gets it back with under 6 to go as on 3rd down. Iggy up the seam for Jarek Bourne. And given that these receivers are going to be insurance salesmen one day, I've got to say, Iggy's doing a good job of making them look good. 3rd down, up the middle. Bourne again breaks a tackle. Spin move, breaks another. Look at him go! Jarek Bourne, I apologize! I was not familiar with your game. Was that Kyrie Irving on that play? 2nd and goal from the 2. It's Ringo up the middle. Does not get it. Colby Cook and friends bring him down, and now we've got a really interesting 3rd and goal with less than 5 minutes. Iggy, read option. Touchdown, Memphis! Arion Igwebuike, have yourself an afternoon. The projected number 1 pick in the NFL draft continues to look the part. I'm excited to dive deeper into his game as a prospect in the upcoming Browns episode, but, I mean, it's easy to see why watching him, why some team is going to fall in love. Kingsbury on 1st down. He's got Vogel to around the 40. Good to see Brady Vogel getting involved. I think he's had a pretty bad game. 2nd down. Ringo looking to follow his blocks. Past the 50, past the 40. Another nice run for Keelan Ringo. And even though we're down and trying to move quickly, we cannot go away from the run. Kingsbury on 2nd down. Scrambles. He's got an open man down the field. It's caught. Vogel to the 20. Did not time that throw up well, but hey, it worked. On 2nd down, Kingsbury finds the back door, and he's got it inside the 10. We're burning clock. I don't want Memphis to have time with the ball. Ringo on 2nd down loses yardage. We've still got to make sure we can score, though, but we're in no hurry. 3rd and goal. Kingsbury, Phantom, touchdown! Romello Phantom, the 5-star transfer out of the Ohio State University, will tie the game up. Really nice maneuver by Cam Kingsbury going through his progressions. I thought that was probably his best drive of the game. He's able to find Phantom who's open, and sure, I don't love that Memphis has 38 seconds and 3 timeouts, but we couldn't really chew much more clock there, and what am I going to do, not score? Like, obviously, we have to take the touchdown when we can get it. The extra point is good from our new kicker, Tyler Remigio. We haven't really called upon him other than extra points. Memphis gets it back. 38 seconds, 3 timeouts, a chance to win. Iggy goes short. That one is caught by Fitch. His 14th catch of the game. Memphis uses their first timeout. 3rd down and 2. Igwebuike. He is sacked! Stephen Fina brings him down. We were due to finally win a pass rush rep off the line, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Hokies call time, but we've still got 2 left, and we're still going to have enough time to run a couple of plays and maybe get into field goal range. 19 seconds. Here's Kingsbury. Scrambles up the middle. 1st down past the 50. Juke move. Slides nearing the 40, and we use our 2nd timeout. A really nice play by Cam Kingsbury, and we're not far away from field goal range. 10 seconds now, up the middle. Matthew Jackson dives forward for a gain of about 7. We're going to use our last timeout, and we're not messing around. The field goal unit will come on. Tyler Remigio's first field goal attempt as a Virginia Tech Hokie. 52 yards for the win, as Memphis is going to call a timeout to try to ice the kicker. He was nearly automatic last year with the Chippewas, a big reason why we chose him specifically in the portal. For the win! This kick is not even close. Well off to the left is Remigio, and Memphis still has 3 seconds. I mean, they could theoretically go for the Hail Mary and try to win the game right here. Igwebuike certainly got his strong arm. Can he get it there from the 35? Under pressure. No pass! Stephen Fina, his 2nd sack in as many defensive snaps. And this game is headed to overtime. 35-35, we do not have a winner. Virginia Tech has played in overtime games in the past. We were there a bunch of times in year number 2. We had the crazy game against Clemson, the year they won the championship. We had the really exciting win against Maryland, which was really Cam Kingsbury's coming out party. And if there's one thing I've noticed about Kingsbury over the years, despite his inconsistencies, he's clutch. And he was really clutch on that last drive, and he's going to have to be again. Tails never fails. We're going to start on defense. I want the offense to know what they're working with. So it'll be Arion Igwebuike and the Tigers who come out onto the field first. 3rd down and 7. They're going to run the ball. Stiff arm gets nothing. Mateo Cabrera, the 5-star freshman, with the tackle. With possibly the game on the line and what could be their last offensive snap of the game, they take the ball out of their quarterback's hands. That is really questionable. Okuban's kick from 40 is good. So Memphis kicks a field goal. They score some points. But now our offense knows what they're working with, and a touchdown would win it. 2nd and 8. Kingsbury looks to scramble. has the first. Kingsbury hurdles the defender. Cam Kingsbury calls game. Touchdown for the win. And Virginia Tech will survive. It's Kingsbury, the hero, with the leaping touchdown to win it in overtime. Good teams find ways to win games that they do not deserve to win. And it's fair to say we were definitely outplayed in this game, particularly at the quarterback position. But as I said with Cam Kingsbury, as much as he's been inconsistent and as much as I have not been impressed with his play, the kid is clutch. And when the lights are the brightest, the star shines the brightest. 41-38 in overtime. Wow, what a win. What a game. So we will start with the Hokies, who did not play very good football. Cam Kingsbury, 16 of 26, 277, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 2 bad interceptions in the first half. But in the fourth quarter, he was accurate, he was dialed in, he wasn't missing throws like he did early in the game, and he had some big scrambles. He was an entirely different player from the first 3 quarters of the game into the fourth quarter and overtime when we needed him to shine. He was excellent down the stretch, but he's got to be better than he was in the first 3 quarters because that was just not good enough. Ringo was really good, but Dontel Jett only averaged 3.7 yards a carry. I didn't want to say anything early on, but we're 3 weeks in. Dontel Jett hasn't been that impressive. He has been significantly outplayed by Keelan Ringo. Ringo was our second leading receiver, only behind Skylar Matlock, who had a couple big plays, including a 63-yard touchdown. The offensive line, I thought, played a really good game, and then defensively, we've got some work to do. Now, first of all, 18 tackles for Colby Cook. That number does not surprise me in the slightest. He was all over the field. We had a bunch of guys in the double digits. I thought our run defense on a snap-by-snap basis was pretty good. The pass rush was horrible, though, and the coverage was not very good either. Arion Igwebuike is the real deal. It's crazy that Cam Kingsbury's passer rating is 25 points higher because Iggy was obviously better. 35 of 47, 381 and a touchdown. He just didn't have the scores that Cam did, and his yards per attempt was a little lower, but he was more efficient. He avoided mistakes. He was also very good as a runner. 10 carries, 44 yards, and a score. I mean, he looks like the number 1 pick. He's got the size. He's got the accuracy. He's got the arm talent. He can win in the pocket. He can win outside the pocket. He really checks off all the boxes, and he has elevated this weak group of receivers. Garrison Fitch had 15 catches. Emmanuel Valdez had nearly 100 yards. And Jarek Bourne was out there running around like Tyreek Hill at points during this game. He has 78 speed, and he was the most dangerous player with the ball in his hands. Defensively, Memphis was good and bad. They were not good down the stretch, though. As much as Cam Kingsbury was clutch, I feel like Memphis's defensive play did drop off in the fourth, but I think overall they really were not that bad. 41-38 win for the Hokies in week 3. We've got a lot to work on. Look, a bad win is better than a good loss. However, a good win is better than a bad win, and this was not a good win. South Florida Clemson, I'm really fascinated by, given that South Florida killed us earlier in the year. It would be a really bad look if Clemson scored a bajillion points in that game with how poorly our offense played against South Florida. Now, we've got a few guys ready for visits in week 4. We are home against Boston College, including quarterback Dennis Fleck. Very competitive battle with him. Linebacker Eric Drakeford, he's going to come in too. And then safety Amani Wing is one of my top targets on the board. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to go to Clemson. But I'm going to give it a try anyway because we've unlocked his pitch. It fits us really well. So if we have a good visit in week 4, you never know. Simulating the week, we did not get good news. Amani Wing is going to Clemson. He is still going to visit this week, though. I guess for the free lunch. I mean, look, if that's your reason, honestly, dog, I feel you. I get that. We're going to have Fleck and Drakeford visit as well, and we don't have the lead for either of them, so we need them coming in. Let's take a look at our weekly recap. We'll start with number 6, South Florida, and number 8, Clemson. We're just 2 weeks removed from USF absolutely beating the brakes off of us. It would be really embarrassing if they walked in here to Death Valley and their defense allowed like 40 points. Well, the good news is they didn't allow 40. The bad news is that they allowed a lot more. Like a whole lot more. How about 70? Yeah, bad look. Darian Johnson threw for 9 touchdowns. 9. I don't even know if Cam Kingsbury had 9 forward completions against South Florida 2 weeks ago. It breaks the Clemson record. It nearly breaks the ACC record, which was set just last year by Noah DeVales when he threw 11. But DeVales did it against an FCS team. Darian Johnson did this against a back-to-back-to-back playoff team. I feel like, given context, this is definitely the best individual performance we've had in this series. Certainly the best this year. Although Darian Johnson's game literally last week, where he threw for 508 yards and 7 touchdowns, in another game where Clemson scored 70, well, that's a good alternative. Over his last 2 games, he's thrown 999 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Spoiler alert, for the Browns quarterback prospect profile, he's not there, because I didn't really see him as a guy who would declare early. But if he keeps playing at a fraction of this level, not only will he be in the draft, but he will go inside of the top 10. Because this is an unbelievable run. He just walked down a very, very good team who destroyed our offense 2 weeks ago. Penn State heads to Louisville to face off against the Cardinals. Penn State comes into this game ranked number 21. I think this Louisville team could be a little frisky. And when I say frisky, I mean get completely walked down by a guy who's named after an insect. Penn State would shut out the Cardinals, and the Nittany Lions, to me, are certainly going to be a team to watch early in the year, particularly with their quarterback, Bugs Vitelli, now being a junior. And with the race for QB2 behind Igwebuike wide open in this class, there's a lot of young guys who I think could take it, who we're going to talk about in the prospect profile. I think the one with the best physical tools might be Bugs Vitelli. He's 6'5". He's got a really impressive arm. He's accurate. He doesn't turn the ball over too much. The numbers don't really pop off the page, but they don't need to. I mean, it's not like he was bad at all in this game. He just didn't throw for a bunch of touchdowns, much like Arion Igwebuike against us. It was a really, really quality performance. Georgia heads to Oklahoma to face off against the Sooners. Georgia ranked number 2 at the moment, but I don't really know what to make of these guys. I mean, it's Georgia. They're always loaded. They've had arguably the best roster in the game 3 years in a row. But I think their team is going to take a step back this year, and that was shown in this game. Oklahoma with one of the big early season upsets. They knock off the top dogs, Solomon Sifu, and the Sooners win it 28-25. Oklahoma being unranked is crazy. They should have been at least on the fringe of being ranked anyway, and they just beat number 2 Georgia. Clyde Williamson Jr. did not play very well, did not look like his pops. Now, it's only his 3rd career start. He's got time, and K. Mariah Jackson still played really well. We're leaving here with something, but it was not a great game for Georgia, and I am worried about them. Wisconsin, number 13, faces off against the Eagles of Boston College. If you thought our game was fun going into overtime, this game ended up going into triple. But it was Boston College who ended up getting the upset over a playoff team a year ago in the Badgers with this late score to win it 36-34. Don't forget who Boston College plays against next week. They're traveling to Blacksburg to face off against the Hokies. I thought this would be one of our easier games, but maybe not. Boston College knocks off the Badgers in Madison, Wisconsin. Boston College has a really nice offense. They have a talented freshman quarterback in Reuben Ross, who played pretty well in this game. Jacoby Justice is 5'6", but he's an absolute dog. And Pierre De La Fontaine at wide receiver could easily be a top 100 pick if he has a good year. Stephen Cartwright and Avery Homer, the dynamic running back duo, play well, but Wisconsin still takes the loss. SMU, number 20, facing off against Stanford. These two teams have some history. Stanford upset SMU in the Season 1 ACC title, but SMU got revenge that year in the first round of the playoff. Well, Stanford's able to get a little revenge for that playoff game. Nathan Jackson Lucas carved these guys apart, and Davide Zakelj looked like a first-round receiver. 41-34, Stanford with the win over SMU. Noah DeVales does throw for 400-plus yards. These guys have an all-star cast on offense with guys like Devon Easter, Hassim Talib, Hezekiah Arnold, and of course, Damani Kazin. But it was Nathan Jackson-Lucas who really stole the show with nearly 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Davide Zakelj, I think, has a legit argument to be a first-round pick. These guys churn out receivers left and right, and after him, they've got another one. Dejarius Tate Jr. is a 6'4", 220-pound sophomore who I think projects to be a first-round pick next year. That's not to mention, Dragan Brankovic was nearly a first-rounder this year, and Lonnie Block in year 1 was practically a top 10 pick. Otherwise, no major surprises. Miami stays at number 1. They beat Temple. Alabama wins their first game of the year. BYU beats the brakes off of Maryland. Arizona State over Baylor. We've got the Sun Devils on our schedule in a couple of weeks. In the ACC, Florida State with a close-ish win against Rice. They have to play Clemson next week. Good luck. Georgia Tech gets blasted by Nebraska. Oklahoma State with a good win over Cal. And then nationally, Oregon wins the Civil War. We love to see that. Toledo with a good win. They've impressed so far, even with losing Rasheer Stewart and Deontay Jett. Texas Tech needs a close one to get by Pitt. That's a good look for the ACC, I suppose. Otherwise, no major results across the country, and there wasn't that much movement in the polls. We only ended up jumping 2 spots from number 15 to number 13, with South Florida and Wisconsin both losing. Should we be ahead of South Florida? I don't know, because on one hand, they just killed us on a neutral site 2 weeks ago. But on the other hand, they just allowed 70, and even we didn't go out that sad. Clemson climbs all the way up to number 3, even though they lost a game. And the craziest part about that is it's hard to argue against it. They just scored 70, for crying out loud. As for the players of the week, this is probably going to be the easiest one of the entire series. I mean, it's obviously going to be Darian Johnson for the offense. Can someone explain to me, like I'm 4 years old, how 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns is better than this? I mean, I have no words. I don't think I've ever seen something so egregious in my entire life. As for the Heisman watch, Darian Johnson will get his respect. He's in second, only behind his own teammate, Jericho Mason. Through 3 weeks, he's got 21 touchdowns. That's nuts. There's no way this will continue, but holy mother of God. Freddie Fears is in third, the UVA quarterback. Santiago de la Puente of Arkansas State is in fourth. Will he be the next Group of 5 industry plant who stays on the Heisman list way too long because he's coming off a loss? Will this be like George Guacham from last year and Julian Hero from year 1? Because that's what it feels like. That's what it's giving. On to week number 4. We're 2-1. We've got Boston College on the schedule now. Boston College is coming off a huge win on the road against Wisconsin, 36-34 in triple overtime. Now, they didn't play that well in their first 2 games. They only beat their FCS opponent by 10, and they lost to North Texas by 14. Their point differential this year so far is negative. They haven't looked all that good. Maybe Wisconsin's just a bad team, but they did just beat a playoff team on the road. So they do deserve a lot of credit in that regard. They've got a lot of playmakers on offense. I think that's where they can try to exploit us. Reuben Ross, the redshirt freshman, leads the way at quarterback. Obviously, he's inexperienced, but I think he's pretty solid. I think he can do a lot worse. Boston College has had very good quarterback play in this series. They had Rasheer Stewart for a couple years. Last year, they had Caleb Farley, who was pretty good. So this is the lowest rated one they've had, but a guy they're excited about. Jacoby Justice is 5'6", but a really exciting, gifted running back. And then again, Pierre De La Fontaine is one of the best wide receivers, not just in the ACC, but really in the entire country, period. Now, they really over-rely on their offensive skill position players, and their defense is not great. Their backup kicker is better than their second-best defensive player, which is a little bit of a concern. And while we're on the subject of concerns, we got our 3 Group of 5 games out of the way. The last 9 teams on the schedule are all power conference opponents, 8 of whom are in the ACC. Our point differential against the 3 Group of 5 teams was in the negatives. Granted, we played against South Florida and Memphis, who might be the 2 best G5 teams in the country. But still, to be negative against non-power conference opponents, that, my friends, is a bad look. We've had a lot of bad looks through 3 weeks. Kingsbury misfires for Vogel. The accuracy's been the problem, and on that play, Vogel was wide open. Gotta make the throw. 3rd down, Ross steps up in the pocket, looks to throw it, and he'll just get rid of it. Good job there by the pass rush sending pressure. It's Ahmad Mohammed, the redshirt freshman, in the backfield with the hit. Hokies get it back, 3 and outs to start each way. Kingsbury tries to scramble up the middle, but it's Emmanuel Sams who brings him down on the sack. 3rd down and 7 now. Kingsbury looks to throw it. Kingsbury scrambles. He'll connect. It's Vogel with the first down. Good maneuver by Cam Kingsbury, who was patient. He waited for someone to get open. And Vogel, who's had a couple of drops this year, does hold on. Dontel Jett, here we go, up the middle with a gain of 25. That's the big play we've been waiting for. He is dynamite in human form. Anytime he gets the ball can turn into a touchdown. And while he's been disappointing through 3 weeks, I know he's capable of a lot. Matlock on 3rd down gets maybe a yard or two. And that will bring out the field goal unit. It's Tyler Remigio from 49. He missed the game winner from 52 last week, but it didn't matter. We won anyway. His kick is good, and it's 3-0. Tyler Remigio with his first made field goal as a Hokie. And we have an early lead. It's 3-0. Boston College back with it. On the blitz! Ross is sacked. It's Garrett Berretttucci, the transfer from Tulane, who brings him down. 2nd and 15 now for the Eagles. Their offense has had no problem scoring the ball. Their issues in terms of consistency have been on the other side, as it's De La Fontaine with the first down. The big, physical 6'3" receiver is certainly going to have some fans in NFL draft rooms. 2nd and 7, play action. Ross is wrapped up on the blitz. Good job by the Hokies to get home, as it's Ahmad Mohammed, his first career sack. And it's 3rd down and about 12 now for Boston College. Ross looks to throw it up the middle. It's caught! Another first down to around the 50. A couple of big conversions. This time it's Johnny Dawkins, the redshirt sophomore. 3rd and 2, Elijah Ivey goes the wrong way. KJ Story brings him down, and that'll force a punt. Possibly the final play of the first quarter, 3rd and 12. Kingsbury looks to throw it. Goes short, wide open, 1st and more for Vogel. With a juke move past the 45. A really nice maneuver by Brady Vogel. And through the first quarter, we looked pretty solid. The offense started slow, but I think Kingsbury is starting to get into a rhythm. Brady Vogel's had a couple of big plays early, and defensively we look quite good. We've allowed a couple of 3rd down receptions, but otherwise, we've been pretty good on that side of the ball. Kingsbury on the option goes the wrong way. Good job by the Eagle defense. 2nd and long. Kingsbury up the middle. It's caught by Matlock, who gets a few, and that'll make it a 3rd down and 4. Hokies hurrying back to the line pretty quickly, as it's a handoff for Jett, and he does not get it. Only a gain of 2. We're keeping the offense on 4th and 2. We're going to go for it. Kingsbury, Ringo, he will get the first. They fully stacked the box, and we said we don't care. Our running back is better than any of your defenders, and he will find a way to get this first down, and that he did. 2nd and 10, Kingsbury connects with Matlock, who spins away from traffic and gets it to about the 25-yard line. A really nice play by Matlock, showing his impressive movement skills after the catch. Ringo with a juke move. He gets the first down inside the 15, and the Hokies are moving it well. We've got it in the red zone for the first time, as Dontel Jett bounces off a blocker. He's in for his score. And it's the junior transfer from NC State by way of Maryland in for the score, and the Hokies will find the end zone first. It's 10-0. Good to see the offense really getting into a rhythm. We needed the big 4th down conversion, and it's been a little sloppy at times. Cam Kingsbury is still missing throws, but we're up 10-0. The defense has really looked good. 3rd and 7. Here's Ross. His pass is broken away for Dawkins. So that'll lead to a punt. Virginia Tech gets it back on 1st down. Kingsbury wide open for Cesar Lorello, the transfer from USC, and he gets it past the 35 for the first down. Now a 2nd and 10 halfway through the second. Kingsbury looks for the screen. It's Keelan Ringo, who had a touchdown on the screen last week. He should have tried to cut outside. I think he was expecting to have the blockers give him more room to run, but he still gets the first down. 2nd down for the Hokies. High arcing pass is caught at the 1. That one is hauled in by Romello Phantom. 1st and goal. Touchdown, Keelan Ringo. And Virginia Tech adds to the lead. Ringo's been an end zone magnet for us over the last couple of weeks. He had 3 touchdowns against Memphis, all of which came in the first half. And he gets another one here today as it's 17-0. 2nd down and 10. Play action, short throw. Nowhere to go. Cole Everett, the transfer from Troy, playing in the slot, brings him down. 3rd and 11. Ross screen. It's Jacoby Justice, and he's got nowhere to go. Darrell Evanson brings him down, and Boston College's offense looks useless. They have maybe 30 yards. Ringo with a nice run, but it's not going to get more than 10. That was a 3rd and 25. I mean, we never really had a chance there with 2 early holding calls. 3rd and 7 for Boston College. They do finally get the 1st down, as that one is hauled in by Bobby Kroll. Unfortunately for them, it will not matter because this one is also coming back. A holding against George Sexton. That'll make it a 3rd down and 17 with about 45 seconds. Here's Ross, hit as he throws. It's caught by De La Fontaine, who does not get the 1st down. R.J. Jordan brings him down, and we're going to call time. We're trying to add some more points. Getting a little greedy before the end of the half. 22 seconds left. 3rd down. It's caught. Phantom with the juke move. He gets the 1st. What a play after the catch to put us in field goal range. But I think Virginia Tech wants a little more than 3. Kingsbury for the end zone. It's caught! Skylar Matlock musses the defender for the touchdown. And Virginia Tech adds to the lead late in the 2nd quarter. The whole strategy on that play was for Cam Kingsbury to go short. But when none of our guys were open, he says, F it. Skylar Matlock's down there somewhere. It doesn't hurt to try to throw it up for him because he's probably going to get it. 50-50 balls for Skylar Matlock are more like 90-10. I mean, this guy had the worst hands on the team last year. Now he doesn't drop anything. If we find more ways to get him the ball, he seriously will become one of the best receivers in the conference very quickly. 24-0 lead for Virginia Tech. To me, the big story, though, is the defense. Boston College, 21 plays, 52 yards. That's 2.5 yards per play. Reuben Ross only has 60 yards through the air. They have -8 rushing yards as a team. And again, Cam Kingsbury has not been accurate for a 4th week in a row. 13 of 24, 181 yards. That's only 54%. But we're running the ball well. Dontel Jett looks good. I guess calling him out worked. Back in year number 1, we called out Nazir Ishmael. He wasn't playing well enough, and look what happened. If we can coach guys up like we did with Ishmael, we could be in for something special with this running back. Boston College starts with it in the 3rd. That's one way to open up the 2nd half. It's a gain of 44 for Bobby Kroll, and it nearly doubles their yardage total for the entire game on one play. 2nd and inches, play action. Ross picked off. Cole Everett's got it for the Hokies. He had 5 interceptions a year ago at Troy and gets his 1st as a senior for Virginia Tech. The throw is a little bit behind the receiver, who did have a step, it looked like, but it's right into the hands of Cole Everett, who makes a really nice play on the ball, and the offensive struggles for Boston College continue. This is the most inconsistent defense ever. The one thing less consistent than our defense, though, is our offense. Kingsbury somehow connects with Vogel under pressure. Really nice scramble drill there by the quarterback and receiver on 1st down. That one is hauled in. Romello Phantom. He's able to run by the defenders past the 40. I've got to say, this kid looks impressive today. Phantom, we really haven't been able to get him in space that much early in the year, but we have in this game, and it has worked. Kingsbury, though, is sacked on 1st down for a loss. It's Rashawn Weineke who makes the play, and it's 3rd down and 17, about 4 to go in the 3rd. Kingsbury joined by Dontel Jett in the backfield. We're going to switch the personnel around. They had more guys to the left, and I was looking to throw the ball short right for Jett. Well, that's what we're going to try, but it's overthrown. Kingsbury can't even make some of those easy throws in the flats. Boston College back with it, still being shut out as Ross is wrapped up by Ahmad Mohammed, his 2nd sack of the game. When we recruited Mohammed a couple years ago, he was one of my favorite players on the board. I thought he was the real deal, and he's having a coming out party. Here's a redshirt freshman. 3rd down, another sack. Logan Teccarelli leads the charge for Virginia Tech. Where has this pass rush been the first 3 weeks of the year? I mean, we are really coming alive. This defense looks outstanding. Here's Dontel Jett. He's got space to around the 30-yard line. 8 carries, 58 yards. Couple nice plays through the air. with just under a minute in the third. That one is off the mark on third down. Cesar Lorello was wide open. On one hand, Cam's got to make that throw. But on the other hand, Lorello's also got to turn around and recognize the ball is coming. So I think that's equally on both. As we're just going to have to settle for the field goal. Tyler Remigio makes it 27-0. And that will wrap up the third quarter. Our offense continues to play pretty productively. The defense, though, has been the story. They look outstanding. They've been up and down through the course of the year. I mean, just look at the East Carolina game. We let up 21 in the first half, nothing in the second half. So it's good to see us have what's been, so far, a full game of really strong production on this side of the ball. We'll see if we can keep it going here going into the fourth as we look to start ACC play 1-0. First play of the quarter, RPO. That one is hauled in for a loss. De La Fontaine wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage by the red-hot Colby Cook, college football's active leader in tackles. Third down, Ross down the field. It's broken away by Ian Cloud. And down by 27. I mean, what do you have to lose? So they're going to go for it. You're on fourth down and about 11 or 12. Ross will look to throw it. Quick pass up the seam. It's caught for a first down. Okay, I guess that's able to work out pretty nicely. Johnny Dawkins with the reception. Under 9 to go. Here's Ross up the middle. Another nice catch by Dawkins again. Over top of the defender that time. Johnny Dawkins is making some acrobatic grabs for the Eagles. Here's Justice. Gets the first with a juke move. And Jacoby Justice has got it past the 25. Looking for the end zone on 2nd and 10. That one is hauled in for a score. Pierre De La Fontaine high points the football and ends the shutout for Boston College as it's 27-7. Reuben Ross had some really good throws on that drive. He's able to put it to where none of the defenders can get to it, and only his receivers can make the play. It's a shame for them it took so long. There goes Jet up the middle to around the 50. This is what I've been waiting for out of Dontel Jet. The big runs where he just outruns everyone and makes guys miss. That's what we know he's capable of. The Hokies are chewing a lot of clock here, and the drive finishes off with a trip to the end zone. That's what I want to see more of. Dontel Jet just weaving through guys left and right. A really impressive drive from both Jet and Ringo, and we were able to burn a bunch of clock there, putting us in a spot to win this game pretty comfortably, as it's now 34-7 with 2.5 minutes to play in the fourth. Boston College gets it back, 3rd and 2. Short throw is caught. Justice, first down, has a couple of blocks. Down the field, he gets it near the 50 before being wrapped up by Ian Cloud. Under 50 seconds now for Boston College on first down. Ross takes a shot in the backfield. On the blitz, it's KJ Story with the sack, and that would be pretty much all she wrote. 34-7, our best win of the year so far. For a team that did not play well in non-conference play, at least so far, we still have one more. We looked really solid in this one. The offense still has work to do. The quarterback play is still not good enough, but I thought our receivers were a lot better. The run game was really good. The offensive line played well, and the defense was outstanding, only allowing 7 points. Our defense has been shaky this year, so to see them play like this, not allowing a lot of yards, not allowing a lot of points, not letting Boston College really ever get comfortable offensively. And again, these guys are no slouch on that side of the ball. They scored 36 against a playoff team on the road last week. Granted, that was in 3 overtimes, but still, I was really encouraged by the defense. I was not very encouraged, though, by Cam Kingsbury. The accuracy is still a problem. We've got to figure it out because he's missing way too many throws. He was very good on drag routes today, and they were really able to get us in space, get our receivers opportunities after the catch. Brady Vogel and Romello Phantom and Skylar Matlock really making guys miss. But teams are eventually going to game plan around that. At some point, Cam Kingsbury has to consistently throw the ball past 15 yards. The run game was phenomenal. Dontel Jet finally had the big game that we were waiting for. Him and Keelan Ringo were both very productive through the air. Matlock was good. I want to continue to find ways to get him the ball. To me, he's not just the most talented receiver on the team, but there are some shades of Nazir Ismail. I'm not going to say he's as good as him, but there are some wild flashes. He looks like he could be one of the best receivers in the conference. The offensive line continues to be a strength, and our defense was outstanding. We didn't get a bunch of tackles for loss, but we had a lot of sacks. The interception by Cole Everett. The coverage was really good, a lot better than it's been. The run defense was really good, a lot better than it's been. And again, the pass rush definitely had its best game. 21 for 32, 235, a touchdown and a pick for Reuben Ross. He wasn't bad, he wasn't good, he was adequate given the situation. It didn't help that they did not win up front in the passing game or in the run game. Jacoby Justice had some good runs, but they never really established the ground game. De La Fontaine can play, though. 7 catches, 71 yards, and their only touchdown. Defensively, they were not great. Honestly, I feel like we left some points on the board, if not for Cam Kingsbury missing throws. They did have a couple of sacks, but they couldn't force turnovers. I don't think their tackling was very good. Their coverage, especially in the short game, was really bad, and they didn't do a good job of defending the run either. So we win it 34-7. We are now 3-1, winners of 3 in a row, and our point differential is back in the green. As we take a look at week 4 across the country, some of the notable matchups and storylines to watch out for include Clemson and Florida State. How will the Tigers look after their dominant win against South Florida? Oklahoma State, Arizona State's going to be an interesting one, too. Those teams have been consistently in the top 3 in the Big 12, fighting for second fiddle behind Texas Tech. They've both made the playoffs in each of the last 2 years. And I think Florida could give Tennessee a tough battle. I know the Gators really disappointed me 2 weeks ago against Auburn, but I'm not going to hold out all hope yet. Not a lot to talk about recruiting-wise. Our visits for Fleck and Drakeford both went really well. We no longer fit the deal breaker for cornerback Johnny Charles because we've allowed too many passing yards per game. That number should go down with our performance against Nebraska, but we're going to have to defend the pass well over the next few weeks if we want a chance at him. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot to talk about. We've got a bunch of guys who are ready for visits now, and we're going to see this list grow. But we don't play at home again until week 7. And we're only at home twice until week 11, with our matchup against UNC and then our bye week in week 9. But the good news is everybody who's narrowing their list down, we have taken the lead for, including both Dennis Fleck and Eric Drakeford. Granted, the lead for both players is not very big. But at least we're in first, and we've got a chance to hopefully land either one of them. Week 4 finds us in Happy Valley with 2 quarterbacks trying to line themselves in position to be drafted pretty highly. The junior Bugs Vitelli for the Nittany Lions against USC's standout redshirt sophomore Noah Campmoyer. And again, it's Bugs Vitelli and Penn State who start the year off 4-0. The Nittany Lions look quite good so far this year, and USC is a team going into the season I was pretty high on. I said, why are these guys not ranked? Well, maybe this is why. Maybe you should have scored more than 3 points in the second half. Another game for Bugs where he didn't necessarily pop off the page, but he was really, really good. And Hollywood Sherrill, the converted running back, he's really made up some ground. Obviously in the development process moving over to receiver a couple off seasons ago. Noah Campmoyer was solid. Hard to blame him for the loss, but when you only scored 3 points in the second half, I mean, he certainly could have played better. Nebraska, ranked number 10, heads to Piscataway to face off against the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Another thrilling overtime game and another big-time upset in the Big Ten. Nebraska falls to the Scarlet Knights with a game-winning 2-point conversion as Rutgers takes it 45-47 in 4 overtimes. This game ended up being quite the thriller. Nebraska drops to 22. Chaz Carrington's another guy who's going to be in the mix to be drafted reasonably high. He was not great, got hurt, replaced by freshman Danny Beebe, who played well. Carrington should be good to go next week. As for Rutgers, Javon DuPoint plays well, as does Levi Taliaferro in the win for the Scarlet Knights. Number 4, Tennessee faces off against the Florida Gators. Florida, like USC, is a team who I felt like was being underrated going into the year. They've got a 4-year starter at quarterback, plenty of skill position guys on offense. They're always churning out talent on defense. They got embarrassed against Auburn. This time around, they kept it a lot closer. But Myson Harrell had 230 more yards and continues to look like a potential top 5 pick in the draft. Tennessee wins in a good one, 42-37. Now, I don't think the Vols should be number 4 to begin with. I feel like they're being overranked. But still, Florida played a good game on the road against these guys. Although, interestingly, both of their top running backs at 11 carries, and Jadeveon Friday was significantly outplayed by Dwayne Ellington. But for the Vols, Coda Thiago with 4 scores, 3 of them hauled in by Myson Harrell. And what I really like about this receiver class with Harrell, Kamariah Jackson from Georgia, and Aston Alexander from Ohio State is that they're all very different. Pick your poison, whichever flavor of player you prefer. Miami heads to Louisville to face off against the Cardinals. Louisville got shut out last week by Penn State. It cannot possibly get worse, right? Oh, buddy, it can. We just saw Darian Johnson throw for 9 touchdowns a week ago against South Florida. Kajai Justice, he says he'll throw 9 of his own. 66-13, Miami over the Cards. Brooks Saunders was a disaster. I mean, he was horrible. There's no way around it. Maybe they need to replace him with true freshman Jerry Hawk, whose passer rating is now above 300. At least Javier Awesome was awesome. I'm sorry. I mean, that was a layup. Come on. How am I not supposed to take that? But Kajai Justice had 470 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And as crazy as it sounds, given that Graham Glikowski was a top 100 pick last year, you could argue Miami upgraded at quarterback. I think certainly in terms of the upside they're getting with Justice is going to be here for at least 2 years. And they're loaded in the skill position group. Miami looks like they might be the team to beat through the first third of the year. I mean, these guys look really good again. But Clemson has been just as impressive. They head to Tallahassee to face off against the 9th-ranked Seminoles. I was high on Florida State going into the year, and I think I was kind of right about these guys. Sure enough, they gave Clemson a good game. But the Tigers are just another juggernaut right now. Darian Johnson did not throw for 9 touchdowns, but he played really well yet again as Clemson wins 35-21. And they move up to number 2. They jumped Notre Dame, who won this week. We'll talk about why that's interesting in a moment. But Darian Johnson continues to absolutely ball out. And again, if he continues to play this well, even at just 5'11", with some of the physical question marks he has, he will probably get drafted very highly. Because, I mean, this is just absurd production. I'm curious to see if he can keep it going. Jericho Mason, the current Heisman frontrunner, a little quiet, though. Florida State, we're going to get to play these guys in their building in a couple of weeks. I'm excited. I think these guys are good, and they gave Clemson a battle. Next up, we head to the desert, another place that we're headed to pretty soon in just 2 weeks. We're going to Arizona State. Let's see how they fare against Oklahoma State. 2 teams who have made the playoffs in each of the last 2 years. But it's Arizona State and their new standout quarterback, Claudio Vicente. The Sun Devils get the better of Sena Ticonderoga and Oklahoma State, as Arizona State will hold their top 10 ranking. And that sets us up for a really big matchup in 2 weeks in Tucson. 33-20. Arizona State takes it. 2 scores for Claudio Vicente. He was pretty solid. If he continues to play really well, he'll go into next year as a guy we talk about as a potential first-rounder. As for Oklahoma State, Sena Ticonderoga is a guy who could get drafted quite highly. He was very disappointing. Not a very good game through the air, although he did run it well. As for some other scores, Toledo with another blowout. They are killing everyone. Their offense looks just as good, and their defense is even better than it was a year ago. Texas is dominating their opponents. Now, they're playing a bunch of nobodies, but they're doing what they should with a bunch of nobodies. I'm impressed with the Longhorns. Alabama beats Kentucky by 50. Oregon with a nice win. South Florida back on the win column. They beat Texas State. Auburn beats Oklahoma in a good one. Notre Dame only beats Arizona by 3. They are now ranked below Clemson, which is certainly fascinating given that they beat Clemson earlier in the year. Georgia defeats Arkansas. I'm still banging code red on Georgia. I'm not impressed. Now, granted, this is better than last year because they lost to Arkansas last year, the only game they lost other than the national championship. But they just don't move the needle like they did in previous years. They're probably still going to be a playoff team, but I just don't see them as that number 1 caliber seed that they've been 3 years in a row. As for some other scores across the rest of the country, Pitt with a good win against Syracuse. Pitt looks pretty good. Michigan over Indiana. I expected more from the Hoosiers. Arkansas State loses by 3 scores to Southern Miss. Hopefully we do not see that Arkansas State quarterback in the Heisman race. Southern Miss is a good program, but if you're losing them by 3 scores, you should not be in consideration for the Heisman. So the dilemma with number 2 and number 3 in the polls is really interesting because on one hand, Notre Dame should be ahead of Clemson. They have a better record than Clemson. They haven't lost all year, and they beat Clemson. However, if you were to put Clemson and Notre Dame on a neutral field this week, who are you picking to win? Both me and you are picking Clemson. Let's be completely honest here. So if you base it off of that logic and who you think is better based on the eye test, it's probably the team scoring 70 with their eyes closed. Davide Zakelj and DeFaro Charleston, two guys who I think are going to be quite highly NFL drafted players, win the Players of the Week. Zakelj joined by Jared Polchevsky, who wins it in the ACC. As for the Heisman watch, Freddie Fears is in first place. Johnson falls to third. Wow, this is interesting. Freddie Fears has taken a big leap this year. Should he be in first over Johnson? No, not a chance. They haven't beaten anyone yet, but he's been quite good. Zakelj is in second. Johnson and Mason drop, while George Hall of Western Michigan is in fifth. Again, will he be the NPC Group of 5 quarterback who sneaks his way onto the list? I don't know. Next time around, we are headed to Wake Forest to face off against the Demon Deacons. And then we've got a big one in Tucson against Arizona State. The Sun Devils come into this one 3-0, ranked number 8 in the country. That'll certainly be a big one. It's only power conference teams the rest of the way. Only one non-con game the rest of the way, that being against the Sun Devils. So we're certainly in for a challenge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Peace out.